Chapter 1: Learning the Four Potential Future to Navigate Our Global Economy. As what you seen to the illustration, there are four potential futures serve as guide to navigate our global economy to become a better place to live. The first one is the best of both worlds. Knowing that our country is adapting the changes brought by the pandemic, so the government implemented a policy reform and technological improvements, including the digital transformation in basis of education. Return to status quo is the second feature in which it refers to the strategies in narrowing the insufficient material in all aspects of digital services in narrowing the changes for the future. The third alternative future called survival of the fittest. When you say survival, refers to facing challenges along with its changes. The government again implemented a prospect mobility restriction to prevent the issues, such as distribution goods, serving people, physical distancing, and getting vaccinated. Sinking ship is the last future, with it become worse than ever. The impact brought by the pandemic still continue to grow, but in low progress in narrowing the digital transformation that leads to low productivity that indicates the resources. All in all, those four alternatives serves as inspiration and new transition that government need to be developed to reopen or build some agility to improve some issues together as people recover, helping each other just to reach the goals for an economy. In Chapter 2, we learn also the introduction of international economics. It is important to study the international economics to determine whether the nation are linked through trade in goods or services. Also, it deals with economic interaction that occurs between independent nations, including this illustration above. The trading of sugar between two nations, the Brazil and the US. The two nations are independent nations for experiencing gains from trade with different transactions, in which the Brazil produced supply of sugar with use of increased price with free trade, while the US produced also sugar to trade increase in no trade price, with that both nations collect benefits through trading. In Chapter 3, we learn also the international trade theories. The 8 international trade theories, including their differences in trading goods and services among various nations. We have mercantilism trade, absolute advantage trade, comparative advantage trade, factor endowment, Leontief paradox, product life cycle, new trade, and Foster's diamond theory. In 16th and 18th century, mercantilism trade theory is created by Thomas Mon based on zero-sum game that only nation gets benefit by exporting and other gets only a loss by importing goods. Absolute advantage is the theory of Adam Smith in 1776 that based on positive sum game that both countries get benefits in trade of goods. Comparative advantage is created by David Ricardo in 1817. Country has an advantage in production of two commodities that both goods are efficiency. In 1993, factor endowment is a theory by Elie Hitcher and Berlin Ollen, also known as a theory of factor proportion, a country's available production factors including the land, labor, and capital. Leontief paradox theory is given by Wassily Leontief in 1973. The US are the most capital-abundant country that exported commodities were more labor-intrusive than capital-intensive. Product life cycle is a theory of Raymond Vernon in 1960, a theory that launched the innovator become importer. Then the innovator country should produce goods and export goods with beneficial for both countries. In 1980, new trade theory by Paul Krugman. It is a theory that country having one of the factor can become exporter. Porter's diamond theory introduced by Michael Porter in 1990. This theory also known as national advantage trade theory that factors are available to a nation. In Chapter 4, we are analyzing the graph on microeconomics and international trade. The illustration are the Philippine trade year-on-year performances in both export and import shows that according to PSA, Philippine Statistic Authority, the graph from year 2020 in July still continue become higher and higher percentage of both exporting and importing goods and services, which only increased by year 2021 in July. It can be balanced to trade the goods between the year 2020 and 2021. In evaluating the free on-board value in millions between 2 years, the trade who got highest percentage in the export, that is the trading of electronic product, manufactured goods, mineral product, and etc. On the other hand, trading through importing from 2020 up to 2021 in July, increased amount of value, that is the concept of electronic product again, mineral fuel, and transport equipment. Chapter 5, we are determining the differences of absolute advantages and comparative advantages. Absolute advantage refers to a country's ability to produce a certain good more efficiently in another country. However, the comparative advantage refers to the ability to produce good better than another country with the same amount of resources. The best example for this is the illustration where the carpenter Harvey is more absolute advantage for making 2 goods while the carpenter Lloyd only make 1 goods. In comparative advantage, they manage to look for lower opportunity cost in producing goods. And for the chapter 6, learning about the differences between the free trade and the trade barrier. These different barriers are the major obstacles of international trade. The natural barriers are those language where people who can communicate effectively may not be able to negotiate trade agreements, while tariff is the tax imposed by nation imported goods, and non-tariffs are those quotas, embargoes by national regulation, custom regulation, and exchange control. To lowering the trade deficit, the robust industrialization policy implemented to help in address the said issues. And in chapter 7, we learn also about the open economy microeconomics, which is the Philippines rate and economic growth and productivity. Economic growth refers to an increase in the production of economic goods or services compared from one period of time to another, in which the forecast of GDP in Philippine country in year 2021 is 6.5% compared to last year only 2%. When we say GDP, it is a gross domestic product, while the GNP is a gross national product. For the past lesson, we already know the concept of aggregate demand and supply, where true to this model, it explained the price level and output level. And in chapter 8, we also discuss about the balance of payment. The balance of payment refers to the accounting statement that summarizes economic transaction between residents and non-resident of a country. The one that takes responsibility to analyze the balance of payment is the BSP, or the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, where they compile to calculate the BOP and all the transaction of current accounts, capital accounts, and financial accounts in order to publish development of a country and to understand a country's position in trade of goods and services in the world. On the other hand, balance of trade is different concept in which it includes to the transaction concerning trade of goods only are recorded. The following are the illustration of their formula. In chapter 9, again, we are analyzing the graph of output level and investment level. The first graph shows global gross domestic product and output level from year 2015 to 2024. Output is a quantity of goods and services produced in a specific time period. In 2019, all major global economies across each GDP level of 100, together with the emerging market economies, emerging and developing Asia, Asian 5, and Philippines. Then a synchronous slowing GDP level of 90 had emerged in country alone, which is the Philippines, while others continue to slowly decelerate the GDP level 95 in the year 2020. So far, by the year 2024, all major economies will arise the level of output of the country produced over time. In the second graph, it illustrated the level of investment for the year 2019. Again, the same level of gross fixed capital formation, that is 100 level across all major economies. But the Philippines has greatly influenced the impact of investment, where year 2020, it decelerated in level 90. The main reason why the economic growth is declining in the year 2020 brought by the pandemic, which is COVID-19. All level of sector in the economy are affected, especially the output level and investment level of a country.
1, 2,